Have you ever noticed that the more you try to control your life, the more your mind seems to slip out of your grasp? You plan, you push, you discipline yourself, yet when the moment comes, your thoughts scatter in 10 different directions. The truth is, your problem has never been a lack of effort. It's that your mind is never where your life actually happens. In 1615, a samurai master asked his student a question. If you face 10 enemies, how many can you defeat? The student answered, all 10. The master shook his head. None. Because the moment you think about 10, you've already lost to the first. This is the paradox. You are fighting 10 battles at once and losing all of them, not because you are weak, but because you are never fully here. And today, you're about to learn the one principle that changes everything. Chapter 1. The Collapse, the Warrior Who Could Not Strike. In the year 1623, in a quiet mountain dojo hidden deep within the forests of northern Honshu, there lived a young trainee named Renji. For 6 years, he had trained relentlessly. His movements were sharp, precise, almost flawless. Among the students, many believed he would become one of the finest warriors to ever leave the dojo. But there was something no one could see until it was too late. During sparring, when the moment came to strike, Renji hesitated, not because he lacked skill, not because he lacked strength, but because his mind betrayed him. What if I fail? What if I look weak? What if this one moment defines everything? His thoughts multiplied, each one pulling him further away from the present. His breath shortened, his body stiffened, and in that single moment of hesitation, everything collapsed. One evening, after yet another failed sparring match, Renji approached his master, Hayato. "When will I be ready?" he asked. The old master looked at him, not with anger, but with clarity that cut deeper than any blade. "You are ready," Hayato said. "But your mind is not." Renji frowned. "I don't understand." "Then strike me." Renji froze. The opportunity was perfect. His master stood unguarded. One clean movement, that was all it would take. But he couldn't move, not because of respect, because of fear. Hayato stepped closer, his voice calm but piercing. "Your enemy is not in front of you, it is inside you. Your mind is in 10 places, except the one that matters." That night, Renji sat alone, staring into the darkness. For the first time, he realized something terrifying. He had spent years training his body, but not a single day training his mind. And until that changed, he would never truly become a warrior. Chapter 2. The Principle, the Mind of a Beginner. The next morning, Renji expected punishment. Instead, Master Hayato handed him a broom. "No sword training today," he said. "We clean." At first, Renji felt frustration rise in his chest. Cleaning? When his test was approaching? When he was already falling behind? This is a waste of time, he thought. He began sweeping the wooden floor, but his mind was elsewhere, replaying failures, imagining future fights, worrying about what others thought of him. Then he noticed something. Across the hall, Master Hayato was sweeping too, but not like him. Every movement of the broom was slow, deliberate, complete. When the master swept to the left, there was nothing else in his world but that motion. When he swept to the right, the same. No hesitation, no distraction, no resistance. Just presence. Renji stopped for a moment, watching. There was something different, something almost unsettling. The same task, the same broom, but a completely different mind. After the cleaning was done, Hayato called him over and led him to a small meditation room behind the dojo. On the wall hung a single scroll with 2 characters written in black ink. "Shoshin," the master said. "Beginner's mind." Renji looked at it, confused. "I already know this. It means to stay humble." Hayato shook his head. "That is only the surface." He sat down and gestured for Renji to do the same. "When a beginner picks up a sword for the first time," Hayato continued, "what is in his mind?" Renji thought for a moment. "Focus, curiosity, learning." "Yes," the master said. "And what else?" Renji hesitated. "Nothing else." The words landed heavily. A beginner does not think about winning. He does not think about failing. He does not think about how he looks or what others think. His mind is empty, and because of that, it is fully here. Hayato leaned forward slightly. "But you," he said softly, "you sweep while thinking about fighting. You fight while thinking about judgment. You live while thinking about everything except life itself." Renji felt a quiet shame rise within him. It was true. "You are never where you are," Hayato said. "That is why you fail." Silence filled the room. Then Renji asked, almost in a whisper, "How do I change that?" The master stood up. "Starting today, everything you do, you will do with complete attention." He pointed toward the courtyard. "When you sweep, just sweep. When you eat, just eat. When you walk, just walk." Renji frowned. "And my training?" Hayato looked at him with calm certainty. "This is your training." That night, Renji sat alone, focusing on his breath. His thoughts still came fast, loud, relentless, but for the first time, he did not chase them. He simply returned. Here, now, this moment, and though it was difficult, something inside him began to shift. Chapter 3. The Trial 30 Days Against the Mind. Renji believed he understood the lesson. He was wrong. The first day of training felt simple. Just sweep, just eat, just walk. But by the second day, something inside him began to resist. Violently, as he sat in meditation, his mind rebelled. "This is pointless. You're wasting time. Everyone else is getting stronger while you sit here doing nothing." The thoughts came faster, louder, sharper than ever before. Renji clenched his jaw, trying to silence them. But the more he fought, the stronger they became. By the end of the first week, he was exhausted, not physically, but mentally. It felt like he was at war with himself. One evening, he approached Master Hayato again. "My mind is worse than before," Renji admitted. "I can't control it." The master nodded calmly. "Good." Renji looked confused. "Good?" For the first time, Hayato said, "You are seeing your mind clearly." He stepped closer. "Before, your mind controlled you, and you didn't even notice. Now, you see the chaos. That is the beginning." Renji stood in silence. "So what do I do?" he asked. "Nothing," the master replied. "Just return." Week 2 began. Renji stopped trying to fight his thoughts. Instead, he watched them. When fear appeared, he noticed it. When doubt arose, he observed it. When distraction pulled him away, he gently returned. Again, and again, and again. Then one morning, something unexpected happened. As he sat breathing, the noise stopped. Not completely, not permanently, but for a brief moment, there was silence. No fear, no doubt, no voice, just awareness. Renji opened his eyes slowly, his heart steady, his breath calm. For the first time in his life, he wasn't trapped inside his own thoughts. He was free. The moment passed quickly. The noise returned, but something had changed. Now he knew. Silence was possible. Week 3 brought the real test. During sparring, Renji faced Daichi, the strongest student in the dojo. Before, Renji would have been overwhelmed with thoughts. "He's better than me. Don't mess this up. Everyone is watching." But this time, there was nothing. Just the present moment. Daichi attacked. Renji moved. No hesitation. No overthinking. No fear. His body responded instantly like water flowing around stone. The match ended quickly. Daichi stepped back, eyes wide. "What happened to you?" he asked. Renji said nothing, because he didn't feel different. He just felt here. That night, Renji understood something deeply. Presence wasn't something you forced. It was something that appeared when you stopped leaving the moment, and for the first time, his mind was no longer his enemy. It was becoming his ally. Chapter 4. Warrior Psychology, the Science of Presence. Before Renji's transformation continues, you need to understand what was truly happening inside him, because this was never just philosophy. It was biology. Every time Renji sat in silence and returned to the present moment, he was doing something very specific inside his brain. He was weakening the system that kept him trapped and strengthening the one that could set him free. There is a network in your brain called the default mode network. This is the part responsible for constant thinking, replaying the past, worrying about the future, judging yourself, imagining outcomes. It is the voice that never stops, and for most people, it runs their entire life. When Renji used to fight, this network was active. What if I fail? What if I lose? What will they think? Each thought pulled him away from the present moment. Each thought slowed him down. Each thought made him weaker. But during those 30 days, something began to change. Every time Renji noticed a thought and returned to his breath, he was interrupting that network. Not by force, but by awareness. At the same time, he was strengthening another part of his brain, the prefrontal cortex. This is the region responsible for focus, control, and decision-making. The more he practiced presence, the stronger this system became. And there was another shift happening, deeper and more powerful. The amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for fear, began to lose its dominance. Before, fear controlled Renji. It froze him. It made him hesitate. It made him doubt himself. But now, something different was happening. Fear still appeared, but it no longer controlled his actions. He could feel it without obeying it. This is what the ancient warriors called the immovable mind. Not a mind without emotion, but a mind that is no longer ruled by it. Modern science calls this state something else. Flow, a state where action happens without resistance, where the body moves faster than thought, where time disappears, and only the moment remains. When Renji faced Daichi in combat, he wasn't thinking. He was responding, not from memory, not from fear, but from pure awareness. And awareness is always faster than thought. This is the truth most people never realize. You don't need to control your mind. You need to stop letting it control you. Because the moment you return to here, to now, your brain changes, your reactions change, your entire life changes, and what once felt impossible becomes natural. Chapter 5. The first transformation, the test of presence. The morning of the final test arrived in silence. A cold wind moved through the courtyard as students gathered around. No one spoke. They all knew what this meant. This was not training. This was judgment. Renji stepped forward, wooden sword in hand. Across from him stood Master Hayato, calm, grounded, holding a real blade. Steel against wood. Skill against experience. Life against death. Today, Hayato said, his voice steady, you do not fight to win. You fight to reveal who you are. Renji felt his heart begin to race. The old patterns tried to return. What if I fail? What if I'm not ready? What if this is the moment everything ends? But this time, he didn't follow them. He noticed them and let them pass. He took a breath, felt his feet against the ground, heard the wind move through the trees, saw his master not as a threat, but as the moment itself. Here, now, nothing else. Hayato moved first, a fast strike, aimed at Renji's shoulder. Before, Renji would have hesitated. This time, he didn't think. He moved, a step to the side. A clean deflection, a natural response, no effort, no force, just awareness in motion. They circled, another attack faster, sharper. Renji responded again. Not from memory, not from strategy, but from presence. The fight continued, minute after minute, and something strange began to happen. Renji wasn't trying to win. He wasn't trying to impress. He wasn't even trying. He was simply there. Every movement complete, every breath grounded, every moment whole. Then it happened. Hayato created an opening. Clear, obvious, perfect. Old Renji would have attacked immediately, driven by urgency, by ego, by the need to prove himself. But this Renji saw something deeper. The opening was a trap. And instead of reacting, he waited. Silence filled the space between them. For a brief second, nothing moved. Then Hayato lowered his sword. Enough, he said. The tension dissolved. You have passed. A quiet murmur spread through the courtyard. Renji stood still, his breath steady, his mind clear, not victorious, not proud, just present. Later, Hayato spoke to him in private. You did not win because you were stronger, he said. You passed because you were here. He stepped closer. The beginner fights to prove himself, the skilled fight to win. But the true warrior, he paused, no longer fights at all. Renji listened, something deeper settling within him. For the first time, he understood. The sword was never the weapon. Presence was. And from that moment forward, he was no longer training to become a warrior. He had begun to become one. Chapter 6. Deep Training, the Year of Silence. A few days after the test, Renji was summoned by Master Hayato. You have taken your first step, the master said. But what you have learned is only the surface. Renji listened carefully. If you wish to go further, Hayato continued, you must leave this place. Leave? The word felt heavier than any blade. You will travel to Mount Kuroda, the master said. There, you will train with the monks. Not in combat, but in stillness. Renji frowned slightly. No sword training? Hayato shook his head. No sword, no sparring, no proving, only presence. And so, Renji left the dojo. The journey took 3 days through cold forests and narrow mountain paths. With every step, he felt his old identity begin to loosen. The warrior, the student, the one who needed to become something. By the time he reached the monastery, he was already quieter. The head monk, Sogen, greeted him with a simple instruction. Sit. That was all. No explanation, no philosophy, no teaching. Just sit. The first week was unbearable. Renji sat for hours each day, doing nothing. His legs ached, his back burned, his mind screamed, "This is useless. You are wasting your life. You should be training." Every part of him wanted to escape, but he stayed, day after day, week after week. Then, something shifted. Not suddenly, not dramatically, but subtly. Renji began to notice the space between his thoughts. Small at first, barely there, but real. Instead of being pulled into every thought, he could now watch them pass, like clouds moving across the sky. Fear came and went, doubt came and went, desire came and went, but something remained, awareness, still, unmoving, unaffected. One afternoon, while walking slowly around the courtyard, step by step, breath by breath, it happened. Renji stopped, not physically, internally. The constant movement of his mind ceased. No effort, no control, just stillness. And in that stillness, he saw clearly. He was never his thoughts. He was the one observing them, the one behind them, the one untouched by them. For the first time, Renji understood what his master had meant. Presence was not something you practiced. It was what remained, when everything else fell away. From that moment on, everything changed. Chopping wood became meditation. Carrying water became awareness. Breathing became enough. Renji no longer trained to achieve something. He trained to return, again, and again, and again, not to become someone new, but to remember who he had always been. Chapter 7. The Final Confrontation. The Power That Ends Conflict. After a year in the mountains, Renji returned, but he did not return as the same man. There was something different about him now, something quiet, grounded, unshakable. Master Hayato saw it immediately. "You are ready," he said. "Not for training, for truth." That same week, news arrived from a nearby village. A group of armed men had been terrorizing the people, stealing food, demanding tribute, leaving fear behind them. Several fighters had already tried to stop them. None had succeeded. Hayato turned to Renji. "You will go." Renji bowed, not with pride, not with hesitation, just acceptance. The journey was silent, each step steady, each breath present. By the time he reached the village, the sun was setting. Fear hung in the air. The villagers spoke in hushed voices. "They come at dawn," the elder said. 5 of them, led by a man named Kaito. Renji nodded. That night, he did not prepare for battle. He sat, breathing, watching, returning. Fear came, he acknowledged it, but he did not follow it. Dawn arrived, the men came. 5 figures, rough and hardened, weapons drawn. Their leader stepped forward, eyes sharp, filled with violence. "And who are you?" he asked with a smirk. "Another fool sent to die." Renji stood still, not tense, not aggressive, not afraid, just present. "I'm here to speak," Renji said calmly. The men laughed. "Speak?" one of them sneered. "We don't speak." He rushed forward, sword raised, and Renji did not move, not out of weakness, but from complete stillness. The blade stopped inches from his neck. The man froze. Something in Renji's presence disrupted him. There was no fear to feed on, no resistance to push against, no enemy to fight, only stillness. The man stepped back, confused. The leader narrowed his eyes. "What are you?" he asked. Renji looked at him not as an enemy, but as a human being. "A man," he said, "just like you." Silence stretched between them. Then Renji spoke again. "You weren't always like this." The leader's expression flickered. A crack. Small, but real. "You've lost something," Renji continued. "But it's not gone. You've just forgotten it." The men shifted uneasily. This wasn't how things were supposed to go. No threats, no fear, no fight, only presence. The leader looked at Renji for a long moment. Then, slowly, he lowered his weapon. The others followed. "We're leaving," he said quietly. "No battle, no blood, no victory, only transformation." As the men walked away, the village stood in silence. They expected violence, but what they witnessed was something else. Renji turned and began walking back. No celebration, no pride, because he understood now. The greatest power is not the ability to defeat others. It is the ability to end the need for conflict. That night, under the open sky, Renji realized something final. When you are fully present, you become unshakable. And when you are unshakable, the world around you begins to change, not through force, but through being. And that is the way of the true warrior. Conclusion: the choice, the path of presence. Now you understand. The problem was never your discipline. It was never your effort. It was never your potential. The problem was your attention. Like Renji, you have been fighting battles with a divided mind, thinking about the future while living in the present, chasing outcomes while missing the moment, trying to control everything except the one thing that matters: where you are. Because your life does not happen in the past. It does not happen in the future. It happens here. And if you are not here, you are not truly living. Renji did not become powerful because he trained harder. He became powerful because he stopped leaving the moment. He stopped chasing 10 enemies and faced the one in front of him. This is the shift. Not more effort, not more control, but more presence. So here is your practice. Not tomorrow, not next week. Today, choose one simple action and give it your full attention. When you eat, just eat. When you walk, just walk. When you work, just work. No distraction, no second layer of thought, no performance. Just be there. You will fail at first. Your mind will wander. It will resist. It will try to pull you back into chaos. That is normal. The path is not perfection. The path is return. Again, and again, and again. Because every time you return, you are training something deeper than discipline. You are training awareness. And awareness changes everything. It sharpens your actions. It calms your emotions. It strengthens your presence. Until one day, without forcing it, you realize something has shifted. You are no longer fighting your mind. You are no longer chasing your life. You are simply here. And in that state, you become unshakable. The choice is yours. No one can walk this path for you. No one can return for you. Only you can decide to stay, to be present, to live. Because in the end, only action creates results. And the only place action exists is now. So walk your path with awareness, with discipline, with presence, and become the one who is no longer controlled, but fully alive.